Did you hear that, Nigel? Because you're an avid listener to my podcast. So have you heard that? Me and Ash are giving you advice here free of charge. If you want any more advice, we're going to have to charge you, but you can have that advice free of charge.
Puts Reform UK on 24% and Labour have dropped right down to 23% now. Remember, some of the polls had them at over 40% going into the general election.
A criticism of Farage would be he's still playing it far too safe. Hi, everybody, and welcome back to Nick Talks. This episode's amazing returning guest. Never mind returning guest. One of these days, I'm going to have him sat here next to me and we can do this live face to face, but we'll see what we can arrange in the new year. But without further ado, welcome Ash, Preston journalist, back to the show.
Hi, Nate. Thanks. Great to be back.
No problem. Let's jump straight into it. Labour, the polls, Reform. What's happening in the polls with Reform and Labour?
Well, as we've just seen, I think, was it last Thursday, something like that? The polls completely turned around on Labour, who are now the third party, according to just one poll. We've got to make it clear it's just one poll. So, it's a snippet. But yeah, it puts the Tories on 26%, I believe, puts Reform UK on 24%, and Labour have dropped right down to 23% now. Remember, some of the polls had them at over 40% going into the general election. Some had them in the late 30s, depending on who you're looking at. This is a huge drop of proportions I've never seen before, especially in less than 6 months of being in government. It's no wonder they tried to do a reset, is it? Which went disastrously wrong, of course.
Do you think Reform are happy at the moment because they've had one or two new people, big names really, to join the party?
I think they're happy enough. I watched Question Time, which I don't normally do, but Farage was on there with Jackie Smith, the porn old lady who got the taxpayer to pay for porn for her husband, and that war criminal Alistair Campbell. They're all on there, and it was basically everybody against Farage. And of course, it's an audience that's completely against him, and he was sat there loving every single second of it. He was grinning ear to ear, and even the BBC's biased audience was laughing with Farage, with him, not at him. They were cheering him, they were clapping him. Something, this is a Farage phrase actually, something is happening, the Reform always say, don't they? And something is happening. If that audience on Question Time can turn on Labour and on the Tory MP that was there, Kevin Hollingray, who was hopeless by the way, there really is a big sea change coming here, and Jackie Smith's face said it all. She had a face like thunder, as Farage loved every second. But they've got to be careful, Reform. I did a live stream a while ago, and somebody made a great point in the chat, and they said that Reform UK have to be very very careful about firstly which Tories they take and how many Tories they take. The last thing they want to do is look like this failed Conservative Party that has, as far as I can see, a dud leader and is very, very lucky to be ahead in the polls. They are ahead in the polls for the same reason that Labour won the general election by default. Because some people are going back to them because Labour are so hopeless, and some people went to Labour during the general election because the Tories were so hopeless. But they're not going to stay there. I can foresee a poll in the near future where Reform UK are top of the polls. Wouldn't surprise me at all.
Oh, I think we can see that coming. Now, the two people who joined Reform UK last week, one was the Tim Montgomery.
Montgomery, yeah.
That's him. He started up Conservative Home many decades ago, and the other one is a former Conservative minister, Dame Andrea Jenkins.
Andrea Jenkins, yeah.
Yeah. And they're I mean, the general public have not heard of any of these two people, but in people who study politics and are aware of politics, especially conservative politics, they know both those names. They're two quite big names.
Especially Andrea Jenkins. I think she's a quite a coup actually for Reform. I like Andrea Jenkins. She's actually quite famous if you remember for walking outside. Was it the Commons or was it Downing Street and somebody shouted something at her and she went like that? She's quite famous for doing that to I think it was a journalist. But she speaks her mind. She has a bit of conviction about her because Reform UK asked her to stand in the general election for them, and had she done so, she'd have probably kept her seat. But She said, "No, I've been in the Tory party for so long. I was elected as a Tory, and if I'm gonna go down, then I'm gonna go down fighting for the party that I've been part of for so long." Which I thought actually showed a little bit of gumption, a bit of rather than just jumping ship like some of them do. She was willing to lose her seat and stand by her convictions, which I quite liked. But her reasons for leaving,
That's called having honour.
yeah, exactly, yeah, and people like that, and people from what I can see like Andrea Jenkins. She's a Brexiteer. She speaks a lot of common sense. I think if anybody was going to defect, it was going to be her because she's been friends with Nigel Farage for quite a long time now. She's wanted the Tories and Reform to do a deal when she was a Conservative MP for quite a while, and she's standing to be the newly formed mayor of Lincolnshire, I think it is, for Reform UK. And it wouldn't surprise me at all if she won. I think she's a very credible person. Tim Montgomery, most people won't have heard of him, like you said, but I'm a bit dubious about him joining. I mean, he's been in the Tories 33 years. He founded Conservative Home and edited Conservative Home. He's a credible speaker, definitely. He said that he's not going to be a parliamentary candidate. So I imagine he's going to do more like communications, maybe some articles, things like that, I reckon. But none of them are too bad. I think they're both okay to join Reform. It's just got to be very, very careful they don't start taking, like there was rumours about Jenrick. Now, Robert Jenrick has squashed those rumours and said it's not happening, which is a very, very good thing. And if Reform had taken Jenrick, then you're taking failed ministers from a failed government. And that's the very last thing that Reform need to start doing. They need their own candidates, new faces, fresh ideas, not the same old tired dross that's sitting in Westminster now and has been sitting there for far too long.
Exactly. You can't take the same failed shit, stick a different coloured rosette on them, and say we have a brand new different party. It's different day, same shit.
You can't polish a turd, can you? That's the saying.
Exactly. So I agree with that. What one or two Tories, high profile ones who are Brexiteers, who are on the right of the Tory party, which is not many of them actually. Yeah, one or two of them's a coup, but too many of them, you're right, too many of them, you're just a different version of the Tory party, and nobody wants a different version of Labour or the Tory party. We need something different. I think Farage at the moment is missing a trick. I don't think he's copying the lessons learned by Trump. I think he's still been very timid. I still think, I think Farage, who I like, and I like reform, but I think a criticism of Farage would be he's still playing it far too safe. He wants to be, he wants to be the Tory party he wanted the Tory party to be. And what he doesn't understand is the general public don't want a Tory party. We've had decades of it. Even when it was better, it still wasn't doing what we wanted them to do. He needs to create something new, something different, just as Trump has done. He needs to be he needs to be more Trumpian.
Yeah, more brash, definitely, and speak out on more cultural issues, which is actually something that they are doing anything they can not to talk about. The problem is as well, I think, they are scared to death of people talking about Tommy Robinson. They've been very scared off, I think, by Richard Tice's stupid comments when he said we don't have anything to do with that lot. That's a lot of Reform UK voters that he insulted there, and they don't want to do that again. And if they talk about cultural issues, they are definitely going to be asked, "What about people that support Tommy Robinson? Do you want them to vote Reform UK?" And these are the sorts of questions they don't really have a credible answer to, and they're trying to stay away from those issues. In fact, it'd be very interesting when Tommy Robinson does get out of prison. Actually, is it in July or something like that? What if is he going to start attacking Reform UK? Maybe.
Who knows? I mean, Reform have got a policy of no former EDL members are allowed to join Reform. So that's how they keep Tommy Robinson out of the party. But for the supporters of Tommy Robinson, the answer is easy. You say our party is open to everybody, and we all don't have to agree on everything. But if you're a patriot and you love this country and you're sick of the two main parties killing this country, then we're the party for you. And Tommy Robinson, we will not let Tommy Robinson join the party. That's the discussion altogether. But he can't join because of the rules, because he was an EDL member and founder, so he can't join. But people who support him have a voice here because we all want the same things. I mean, this just needs spinning. It just needs spinning better. And the people who support Tommy Robinson are more likely to be the people in those neighborhoods that never vote because there's no one they want to vote for. Reform can sweep up, tens, 10%, 20% of those voters.
Oh, easily, yeah, if not more. And I heard a rumor a while ago, and this could be something to do with the tension between Tommy Robinson and Reform UK, that somebody inside Reform UK reached out to some of Tommy Robinson's people and asked him to endorse Reform. And he did officially. He put it on his social media and said, vote Reform UK and all this. And within a second of Tommy Robinson doing that, Reform put a statement out. We don't support this guy. We want nothing to do with him. All that. Like he was used as. I've got this credible source that's come from as well. Someone quite close in the inner circle. So Reform UK effectively used him as a bit of a PR tool to distance themselves from him in a way. So I mean, it's a bit stupid of Tommy Robinson to fall for that in the first place, but it was that would explain the rift between them. But Reform have got to stop. You're absolutely right. They've got to stop looking so establishment. That's part of the problem here. Um, as far as I can see, Farage is doing his thing and he's going around doing interviews. There's nobody better to put these mainstream media journalists in their place and debate people. He's a once in a generation debater. He's fantastic at it. So he can do his bit. I think the main opposition, actually, the main person who's talking about the issues that need to be talked about is Rupert Law, who's turned out to be a fantastic MP, and he's like a dog with a bone. He's got the government on the back foot on his own. He's doing more than the rest of the MPs in the Commons combined to hold the government to account. And he's the one you want to watch because he's doing a fantastic job of getting them to release statistics and all sorts. And if they don't play ball with him, he doesn't forget about it. He brings it up again and again and again, and he's hammering the government. I did a video actually calling him a one-man opposition. That's basically what he is at the minute.
Yeah, I've been full. I've recently, about 2 weeks ago, started following him on Twitter, and I've been quite impressed because up to the general election, I never heard of him. But no, I've been impressed. He's been a good find for reform. But what I'd
He
like
was an MEP, wasn't he? He was in
he?
Brexit
Right.
Party, I think. Yeah.
Right. I didn't know that. What I'd like reform to do is what Trump's done. Have a look at all the issues that reform are going to fight on and get a spokesperson for each issues. Just like Trump's got Rivik and got Elon and got RFJ and got all these different people who don't agree on everything, but in that one specific field, they're an expert in and have the right idea for that one field. So, because at the moment it still is a one-man band, it still is the Nigel Farage show. And that's great, but you're not going to win on just the personality of one man. So that he needs to give up some of that power and he needs to start recruiting some people to be the spokespeople for different issues, people who are charismatic, people, the guy who's one of the co-founders of Greenpeace is actually anti-net zero.
Yeah, he is. I can't think of his name now. You're right. He is.
Patrick Moore. So, I mean, I'm not saying him particularly, but someone like him to attack the green agenda because he's got all the credentials to do it.
Yes. Put the right people in the right jobs. Yeah.
Yeah. And then if you wanted someone to look at social issues, then someone like me with my background would be good at that. Then let's get, policing. There's people out there who, former chief constables or former detective sergeants, someone like that who can talk about crime and you start building a coalition because those people will bring other people on board who won't join because we don't like Nigel Farage because he's a Marmite character. Some people love him, some people hate him. But do you know what? I'm going to vote for reform because I like the person about the green agenda. So you start, that's what Trump's done. People voted for Trump, not because they like Trump, but they like some of the people under him who are going to do a lot of the work.
Yeah, oh yeah, and as you said, Trump surrounded himself with some fantastic people. I watched that Vivek in the run up. In fact, he ran to be the nominee first, didn't he? And then he pulled out to back Trump. And he is one of the best speakers I've ever seen. He's absolutely fantastic. And Elon Musk, well, he comes with a lot of financial clout as well, doesn't he? But he doesn't mind going to war with the British government, and that's exactly what he's been doing. And just watch when he talks about government waste and what's he called, Doge, isn't it? The Department of Government Efficiency, I think he's going to call it. He's going to upset some people, and he doesn't care. And RFK Jr. again, fantastic advocate, and let's not forget a former Democrat, which is the most important thing. Yeah, he brought Democrats over, didn't he? Just as what's the other Democrat that went back Trump? Tulsi Gabbard. Is it Gabbard?
Gal, yeah, something like that. Yeah.
Yeah, she went and backed Trump as well, didn't she? So yeah, I mean, who Farage gets in, that Greenpeace guy would certainly be a good one to get in. Crime, you've got people like Peter Blexley that used to be in the police. You know, they were flying squad or something like that. You can get all these people in, and you can guarantee now they know a hell of a lot more about what they're talking about on their given subject than anybody sat inside Parliament.
Yeah, absolutely. And that then is the grand coalition. And then it isn't just a Nigel Farage show. And if there is someone out there who's a former Labour minister who now rejects Labour, but is an expert in something, someone like that would be the RFK scenario that it comes from the opposite party. And now that you could build a grand coalition away from two-party politics. And Reform's message should be, we don't care who you are, what party you supported in the past. If you now are trying to fight for the survival of this country, then this is the party for you. And then you will have former Labour supporters who can't stand Farage voting for reform. You will have former Green Party members who think the Green Party now is got a lunatics will start voting for reform. And it's that grand coalition. The days of these party politics that reform are trying to copy, they're gone. Or they should be gone. They should be gone.
Party politics is what's wrong with our politics, ironically. The party system is the worst thing that could have happened. I mean, at least with a presidential system, I know they represent parties, but you've got a bit more. The presidents have a bit more say, don't they? I'm not saying I want a presidential system or anything like that, but it does have its benefits. And the problem now is, of course, it's always party before country. I don't care what crap they come out and tell us. It's always party before country with all of them. It's all about the next election. They're already thinking about, even though they just won a general election, they're already thinking about the next one. And until then, they're just going to bumble along like they do and see how far they get. Try not to drop too much in the polls. Let's try and get elected for another 5 years, I'm afraid. But yeah, I mean, if you could build some sort of grand coalition like that and have people from all sorts, I mean, they sort of did it with the Brexit Party a little bit when they brought forward the nominees for the European Parliament. There was people like Jacob Rees-Mogg's sister who decided to stand for Brexit Party. There was Anne Widdecombe, of course, former Conservative.
Claire Fox.
Claire Fox, exactly, former Labour peer, isn't she?
But she's independent, but she started off as a revolutionary communist.
Oh, did she? I
Yeah,
actually thought she was ex-Labour. I didn't know she was a revolutionary
yeah, she's a
communist.
revolutionary communist. No, not so
Well,
much
she's
now, but yes,
no.
he created a grand coalition.
Yeah, and there's no reason they can't do that again. Like you said, there must be people out there that are unhappy with the left. I see people all the time talking on the media saying, I'm still left, but the left have left me, if you will. They've gone further off that way. So yeah, there's definitely scope for that, and it's surprising really that a guy, someone like Farage, who politically is very bright, hasn't actually spoke to Trump and hasn't noticed what Trump did. Maybe they are doing it. For all we know, they might be doing this behind the scenes, but it's taking too long to do it. And you're quite right when you say they've got to start hammering home some of these issues and make themselves look like the official opposition, even though there's only five of them look like the official opposition because that's what Rupert Law's doing. And if the rest of them start doing it, then I mean, Farage could hammer them on economic policies. Quite a few of them could. They've all worked in their own businesses. So Farage was a stockbroker and all that. They can really hammer home some important messages inside the Commons as well. It's just, I just wish they'd start doing it. Get on with it.
Yeah, I hope they're already doing it. They're planning it. They're putting it all in place, and I hope that me and you are just a little bit, what's the word I'm looking for? Impatient. So let's see what happens next year, and maybe they're waiting for the council elections. Maybe they're waiting for Labour to get annihilated, them to do okay, and then they announce a grand coalition.
Maybe, but I would say that you need one to do the other. I think don't play it safe till the local elections. You want to. Farage has said this. They need to do anything decent in the next general election. They need to do well in the local elections to get that footprint, to get the local what do you call it, activists that on the ground and the councillors. So before then, they're going to need a big profile. They're going to need people sick to death of hearing about Reform UK, and that's what they're going to need before those elections take place. So that means now make a name for yourself. Start talking about these controversial issues that you're shying away from. And as you said, if that's because they don't know enough about them or they might get caught out, then go and get the right people who can talk about them or at least can advise you on what to say inside Parliament.
Right. Did you hear that, Nigel? Because you're an avid listener to my podcast. So have you heard that? Me and Ash are giving you advice here free of charge. If you want any more advice, you're going to have to charge you, but you can have that advice free of charge. Cheers, Ash, for coming along. And let's do this again soon.
Yeah, cheers, Nick. Thank you.
Cheers.